So hello, welcome back. How I got to learn and understand my pains and my loss of pregnancies. You see, I have shared a video on this channel where doctors report, of course, they were not at fault. For anybody that understand my system and of course sees, in short, any doctor I meet, they're like, you have too many things coming together. You have too many things coming together. And of course, I have shared my videos here, how I was told, the doctor's report and all that. If you have not watched those videos, just go get the clips. I don't know, wherever you're watching this video, it could be Instagram, it could be Facebook or TikTok or YouTube. But much of the videos where I explain more, they are on my YouTube channel and mostly on the True Ways relationship. So you can watch those videos on my YouTube channel. So now, after my daughter came, I talk about my daughter of 10 years, who, of course, brought me to the United States of America. And, of course, through the pains, of course, my declarations, everything, the baby came. And, of course, now, after the baby came and all that, I needed more children. And I never wanted to go through the kind of pain I went through. And, of course, in my quest to understand what exactly happened, and of course the doctor gave me one of the biggest hospitals in Surulere, then a gynecologist, one of the big times gynecology. I don't want to call names, and that is why when I'm speaking I don't even mention my hospital or wherever I've been to. I don't even bother to mention because I don't want all those they managed me well, they did so well, they did awesome. And of course, anywhere I go to, they tell me those people that managed you from time, please go back to them. And of course, in his quest, he told me, after I brought like about 14 different tests, he told me, he said, Madam, there are still more other things, but the ones we can tell you medically are right now that exist in you is that you have a biconjugate uterus and a polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. So a woman with this, and of course I was calm, and of course I was giving God thanks because he has allowed me to see the first child without pain, without stress. And the second one now showed or gave us glimpse of what existed. And of course, remember, he still told me these are the ones that have medically they exist and we understand. But there are more things, and in his voice he said, maybe God wanted to create you as a man because there are still so many things missing that I can't even understand. But if you have or you already have 2 children existing, then I have no any other thing to say. Then God created you for his glory. So what am I talking about here? If you're going through times, we are going to talk more about these videos and God's victories, and of course my moment today and how my last baby came. God's victories. And of course, I'm sharing these clips because it will help a young woman, because no young woman goes into marriage with the mindset of having a doctor's report opposite to what you plan. No, we all go into marriage with, God forbid, I will have 10 children, I will have 5 children, I will have 8 children, I will have 2 boys, I will have 2 girls. So when you are going into marriage, and of course you're already in marriage, we don't remember. Most times people don't remember to pray and like, should there be any challenge? Should there be any doctor's report? What happens? How do I handle the times? How do I take myself through the journey? Young women don't remember to pray about some certain things. People get more excited and play on internet and display things on internet about weddings, excitement. People don't remember to pray about the most important things, the most important moment in the marriage, in the relationship, especially marriage that takes you like it's a forever thing. So people don't remember to pray about things and be patient, and of course be sober, and in your excitement still pray about some certain things. Like I said, nobody goes into marriage expecting pains, but they do come. So these videos will help young women out there to be able to help themselves, especially people that are passing through times they are going through some things they don't really understand. Some of them might think, is my mother-in-law, is my sister-in-law, is my brother-in-law, is my this, is my mother, is someone. No, there are things that have existed in you that God left them or put them in you that will give glory to his name, and that is why those things exist. So if you have watched this video and of course the content is useful to you, or you feel it to be useful to some group of ladies out there, please, it is important you forward it, because I am going to be sharing from step to step my experience. And of course, before my last pregnancy, my daughter, Of course, my experience and all I went through and my victories, God's glory. God bless you. Share this to my space. My name is Ed Moses, on the True Ways Relationship with God and Man. And of course, if you're seeing this face for the very first time, let me even start. If you're my returning subscriber, God bless you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for keep coming. Thank you for all your checkups and all and all. And of course, if you're seeing this face for the very first time, my name is Ed Moses. Like I said, I make videos on dating and relationship to marriage on this channel. That is the content I make on this channel. And of course, if you have watched other of my videos or you're just seeing this face for the very first time, you're welcome. Of course, get your seat, and of course, sit right beside me or sit right in front of me and listen to the videos. And of course, after this video, you can afford to listen to other videos. I make videos here on dating and relationship, and of course, experiences like the video here I'm about to share, like the title speaks. I said how I got to learn and understand my pains and loss of pregnancies. Now, if you have watched some of my videos on this channel, of course, of recent, I've been in the United States of America. And of course, like I said, or like I keep saying, these videos are long overdue, especially the video of how I learned to get to know my system as a woman. And of course, they still not clear and all that, but the little ones have been able to learn, or the little ones have been able to get to know. I think I will be sharing them with you. Like I said, it's been long overdue. I'm supposed to have shared these videos, and of course, like I said, I just decide to make these videos before I leave the States, you know. So like I said, you see, I have videos here where I talked about the doctor's report, you know, how I made some inquiries on my own. And of course, after or later on in life, as I keep on in marriage, and of course, pregnancies comes, and of course, I keep losing pregnancies, coupled with the pains and what the doctors have told me, and of course, my experience. And of course, I have shared a video here how my second child came after my first child. My fourth child never had any problem. I never had any problem. Everything went well. And of course, we were both good. Mother and child, good. So my second pregnancy, of course, which went with a lot of things. If you have not watched that video, is right in the house on the channel here. You can watch that video. And of course, I will encourage every woman to watch those videos, because they are encouraging. A lot of women are going through things that ordinarily they could manage themselves, or their doctors can manage them, or if their doctors gives them instruction, if they adhere to those instructions, they can actually be managed better. And of course, it's better when you understand your system, and of course you understand what some things are happening around you, especially in pregnancy. You understand your system, and of course it's a better and a more smoother way, because when you see some signs, you just know that because something exists or something has existed, that is why they sign. So you can give yourself some courage, and of course keep pushing it in life, and until you get to your destination successfully. So like I said, after my second baby came and all that, and of course I've shared a video how I went to some big hospitals back in Nigeria. When you say big hospitals, in short, the last one where I went, which was Luth, because I got fed up on my own. I had to be going from hospitals to hospitals. And of course, I was spending a whole lot of my money. There are some I wasn't even talking to my husband anymore, because I needed to know why the pains, because I wanted to have more pregnancies, but the fear of a second pregnancy, which gave me a lot of problems. I was scared, and of course, I needed to be careful. Look, I almost died with that pregnancy. This is a pregnancy. Please, if you have not watched that video, please go back and watch that video. I did not work for the 7 months and few weeks the baby lived in my womb. I did not rest. I can't sleep. I can't tell someone I spent a whole full month in my house. I was shuttling between hospital and home. And if for the hospital, they would have put me on bed rest permanently, but because I needed to mix up. So let's not talk about the video that is already in the house. If you have not watched it, please go back and watch that video. So now the baby came, and of course, the doctor told me when I went to Luth, and of course, that was the last doctor. After a particular doctor saw my scans and everything, and he packed my papers and said, "Madam, what else do you want me to do? They must have told you of this. These are too many complications, and of course, this thing, If it's one that we know, we can talk about it. If it's two that we know, we can talk about it. And my mind now went to someone telling me there are too many things here. And of course, he packed my papers, my scans, and all that. He gave them to me and I left. And I went to Lutz, you know. And of course, he packed my papers again. He said, the doctor that has managed you, if you are telling me you have 2 children, the doctor that has managed you, please be a voice to other women. You have to talk about what you have been through and your success and victories in God. You have to share them with other women. And he packed my papers and gave them to me. What I'm saying is 11 years ago. So like I said, this video is long overdue. He packed my papers and said, if the doctors you have been with have been able to manage you, and you're telling me right here, because normally when I go to hospitals, they don't believe I have children. They just see the report, and of course, some of them tells me, do you have a God? Do you trust in God? I said, yes. Just go and trust in God, because we have a lot of cases. Normally, I go the days where people that are seeking for children, something, you know, women, we go to the hospital for one thing or the other. We are either seeking for pregnancy, we are seeking for why that pregnancy went, we are seeking for why this one has not happened. So I go days where the hospital is full with women. So he packed my papers and of course all this, the test results. Please, if you have not watched that video, go back and watch that video. And he said, if a doctor or the group of doctors that have been able to manage you and they manage you successfully, you're sitting down here telling me you have 2 children, then please, they have done all I can ask for or God can do for you. If you truly said you have 2 children, please go back to those doctors, because they have successfully managed you well and they are great doctors. Please go back to them. I'm almost in short. He said he was almost in short. He said in his word, he said, I'm almost, if you can say it, say he was talking to other doctors. He said, can I even say this? And the doctors looked, you know, they are junior doctors, the ones on housemanship, the ones on, he just said, can I even say I am almost at the professor level in medicine? But if a group of doctors have been able to manage you successfully in Nigeria and you are still telling us sincerely you have 2 children, because I believe you're here for help. I said, yes, sir. And he said, if you tell me here and repeatedly, I am still looking at you, looking into your eyes, and you look up to me and you said you have 2 children, please take your papers and everything. We already have something we are studying. And of course, I think the only difference is just the name and whatever it may have come from. We learn from other doctors. So please go back to those same doctors and tell them I said they have done a great job. And you go out there, be a voice to other women, because there are women with your kind of system, which of course your own is more complex. There are people that God has created them with complete womb. They have not even seen children. They have not even experienced a pregnancy for 1 or 2 months. They have been coming to Lutz since the last 7 years. They have tried other means. They have not been successful yet. And of course, this is you with multiple things clashing, and you're saying successfully you have 2 children, and of course the second child put you through pains, you went through times, and that is why you're here. And of course, I can tell you, you successfully carried that pregnancy. Whoever managed you or the group of people that managed you, please go back to them. So now, my quest on how and why I had to learn and understand little or understood what exactly was happening. I had to go back to I went back to another doctor. I said, these are my experiences. This is what I have experienced. And of course, I've had some loss of pregnancies. And of course, a particular one came with serious pains. And of course, through that one that came with serious pains and all that. And of course, these were some of the scans, because when the doctor runs the scans, some of them, I will make photocopy of those scans even before I drop them with the doctor. I don't know the content. I'm not the doctor. Like I'm saying, there are some terms I'm going to be using or I've been using. I might not use them well. And of course, because I'm not a doctor, right? So I make photocopies of those scans. And of course, I have them. I packed them. There were too many things. I went to a particular doctor. And of course, he read through everything, you know. And he now decided to write some other he requested for more tests, multiple tests. The ones I have done before that he felt they were not clear enough, He wrote those ones and of course put some more. I did more than 14 different things. And of course, when you talk about going to clinics in Nigeria, and of course, as at 10 years ago, my baby, my child that came with all those razzmatazz, she clocked 11 years just of recent, this same month, the month of July, she clocked 11 years. But 10 years ago, you know, I was running from home to clinics to prisons. So when you talk about 14 to 15 different, that's 14. I think the last one was not really a test. It was just like a checkup to be sure that everything is normal with me. So 14 different big tests. And of course, there are not things I can remember to call. There are different things. I did all of this. Honestly, I spent money. When you talk about going to prisons and clinics, and number 50 Ogunlano Drive, anybody that has been in Nigeria, you understand it. So it was now at that point that when I went back with these test results and all that, and the doctor sat down and said, there is still more to, there is still more to your system. And of course, there are multiple and too many things clashing here. He now asked, has your doctor ever told you that there is a very mighty big uterus? I said, my doctor, my first pregnancy, when I was to have my baby, I never had pains. But I remember the doctor said, I can see a very big uterus. But in there, I can not really see any other thing. But this is excessively big uterus. She kept on saying it. She echoes it, you know. That was the only thing, because I wasn't asleep. It was a CS, so I could talk to her. She's so friendly and wonderful. My set of doctors, if you know the hospital where I used back in Nigeria, they are wonderful people. They are wonderful people. Other people with their experiences, but I had good experience with them. And from my videos and all my experiences, you could tell that I had wonderful time with them and I was well managed. Don't forget, I adhere to my prayers. I adhere to what the doctor tells me. And of course, whatever instruction I get from God and I get from my doctor, I sit on it. And of course, I walk on it with faith. Now, it was after all these tests that the doctor said that the only thing he could tell me is that I have two major womb that when they come together, that most women have one, they don't have two, but some have two. Now he said, I have a biconjugate. I might not call it well because I'm not a doctor. He said, I have, that you say, madam, you have a biconjugate uterus and a polycystic ovarian syndrome. And then in quote, he said, PCOS. He said, you have a biconjugate uterus. He said, a biconjugate uterus and a polycystic syndrome, a polycystic ovarian syndrome. Let me not forget. Let me read it again. He said, you have a biconjugate uterus and a polycystic ovarian syndrome. And at that point, of course, I don't know what it is. Of course, I don't know what it is. And of course, he started talking to me. He says, some of the experiences you have had, you had miscarriages, sometimes you don't even have period, you have your period skipping. This will be videos, another video we are going to make. So when he told me this, I go home and of course, I called my husband. I think my husband was in the States then. I called my husband and I told him, and my husband said, relax yourself. If God has done the first one, the second one, because I was still wanting to, I'm married to an Anambra guy. And of course, if you know the Igbos, they love children, especially the Anambra guys. The Anambra guys love children because their children are their friends, especially my mother-in-law used to say, your children becomes your friends from early stage. Your children becomes your friends at later in life. Your children becomes your parent, your own parent as a mother. And they become your parents because they take care of you. They become a friend. They become those people that understood and understand you. They understood you then and they understand you now. Your children becomes those people. You know, sometimes I jokingly tell her, Mama, how come you have this much children? And she said, my children are my friends. And you see, my children are my parents. They are my mother. They are my father today. So your children becomes your best friends, your best pals later in life. You know, So when he told me this, of course, I got home, I started reading, and of course, I was amazed. Most of the experiences, in short, why he told me that, he said a biconjugate uterus and a polycystic ovarian syndrome. You know, I was reading about it now. Even at that moment, he told me, he said, there are still more to it, but as a medical doctor, these are the ones that have a name that I can tell you. But my sister, in his word, he said, my sister, you have a big God. That God has given you children, 2 existing children standing, because this is a doctor I have never met, but he's a great doctor. And of course, he's a great doctor, and he told me, I don't want to call names, but if you know Surulere, you know somewhere around the Leadway Inn and all that, one of the biggest hospitals around, you know. So I don't want to call names, of course. I was being treated well by all the doctors I met on my journey. And he said, there are other things still clashing, but the ones I can tell you that are really big and have a name medically is the biconjugate and the polycystic. You have these 2 together, so you are to have all the experiences you have and even more. And I just sat down, and when I got home, I was reading about this thing. I was amazed. And remember, he said there are still more other things that in you, or with you having 2 children already, is a testimony. All in all, you can see their stories are still in line. Like I said, my other doctors did not bother to tell me this, because in particular when she knew all this, she said, I have seen it in my field of study, and of course, it does not come with too much fears. Yes, the first one was rosy. The second one came with pains. And of course, you have strength, you drive yourself, you're full of life. I see you can go through it. If you have not watched my other videos, you need to go and watch them. You just have to go and watch them. So I'm going to end this video here. And of course, we're going to talk about now my journey, because I was still seeking for more children. Now my journey into getting pregnant, because my child then, my Doreen, is 4 years older than Daniel, you know. So my other lost pregnancies, and of course my lesson and my experiences as a woman with a biconjugate womb, a biconjugate uterus, and a polycystic ovarian syndrome existing, carrying pregnancies, my experiences, my lens, and all that. So on my next video, I'm going to be sharing this. So please, if you are a woman, you are going through times and all this, if you have been able to listen to the little I have spoken here, go closer to your doctor, and of course, start reading about things. And of course, in our days, Google has been our friend. Just read about things and all that. Much of the fears I maintained back then in my during my pregnancy, if I have been able to read about some of the things that I later knew, I think it would have been easier for me. But of course, the only thing I knew then, I stood with my faith, and of course, I was being given drugs, I was being managed well, so I was not having those fears until the baby comes down. So if you're watching this video as a woman, and of course you don't have experiences like this, and of course you know a young woman that just got married, like I said, we don't go into marriage thinking I'm not going to have a womb, I'm going to have some experiences. We all go into marriage with the mindset that, oh, I'm going to have 4 children, I'm going to have 2 boys, I'm going to have 2 girls, I'm going to have matchma, I'm going to have twins. We all plan like that. We don't plan that. Supposing I walk into marriage, and of course the doctor tells me this, or I begin to experience this, nobody thinks about that. And that is another thing. Young women don't pray about things they will see in marriage, because definitely there are things you're going to see in your early days in marriage, in your middle days in marriage, in your later days in marriage. So like my grandmother used to tell me, he said, pray for your pains to come early in marriage, or whatever you're doing. Pray for your stressful moment to come when you have the strength to carry on, and you have people that will be able to talk you through it and teach you how to go through it. And of course, with faith, you're strong enough to go through it. So if you're watching this video, you know young women, a group, please share this video. It is important people learn, because a lot of people are still going through times. You go to the hospital, you hear people talk about it. There are no things you can sit down and start counseling young women, because you're not a doctor. My experience might not be the other person's experience. She might be having some little things that are similar to mine, but I can't just sit down and start talking to her, because it's a long story. The only thing I can suggest, stay with your doctor, listen to your doctor. But this video will be able to enlighten someone. So in my next video, we are going to be talking about my experiences as a woman or as a mother or a wife with a biconjugate uterus and a polycystic syndrome. Of course, remember there was a pregnancy that I said is 10 years. Of course, Chiza or Doreen is already 10 years. Of course, it came with an ovarian cyst, which at a point was weighing 3.2. And before I had my baby, that ovarian cyst came down, and of course there were substances that were coming out of it. It was mighty. So they are part of this journey. But remember, the doctor said this is the one we have in books, and these are the ones that have a name. You have them existing in you. But apart from that, you still have other things that are preventers to a woman carrying a child. He said at the point, he said maybe God wanted to create you as a man, but he changed his mind because maybe your parents never have a girl child. I said, no, I have an elder sister, but I don't know. I have just one sister and 5 brothers. He said, okay, maybe God wanted your mother to have 2 girls. And of course, suddenly he changed it. And I would tell him, God does not make mistakes. He did all to the glory of his name. He did all that his name will be glorified. And that is the journey we are today, to encourage someone. God bless you, and thank you for listening. And of course, we'll talk more about my experiences and what you should be expecting as a young woman too in your journey. If you have it or you know someone that have it, share the video. Is important to encourage women. YouTube, share my video. YouTube, push my video to women who are googling, asking questions about people with biconjugate. I might not know how to call it well because I'm not a doctor, but I can remember it is biconjugate uterus and a polycystic ovarian syndrome. So when you see women googling and checking things about them, you can push this video to them because it's going to be encouraging, and of course it's going to give them a path out of their stress and pains. So if you're watching this video, I will encourage your thumbs up, your thumbs up, your comment is welcome, your sharing is welcome, because it will help your thumbs up, actually your sharing, and of course your sharing means the content is good, and of course your thumbs up means you enjoyed it, and of course you're recommending it. You help YouTube to recommend it to more women in the United States of America, because I've read online there are a lot of women suffering this, and of course more are still going to suffer it. It's not a prayer. More people are still into it. More people have not even discovered what they are going through. So YouTube, push this video, and of course share this video to group, push this video to people. It will help, and of course, because I am ready to share my experiences in the journey as a woman, my challenges, and of course my breakthroughs. I'll be sharing them in my next video. God bless you, and I'll see you again in my next video. God bless you from here. It's love, and I remain your Ann Moses on the True Ways relationship with God and man. God bless you. Bye from here.